And as kids, if we're not getting that, if we don't feel fulfilled in getting that attention that typically we're looking for our parents to get, we will see attention-seeking behavior.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. I'm so excited for this episode because I think you're going to get so much out of it. I just can't wait to share it. We had so much information that's actually going to be in 2 parts, so you'll find part 1 today and part 2 will be next week. We have Samantha Day, who is a family sleep and behavioral specialist, and she's going to share some amazing techniques when it comes to children and their behavior and how to react to it. So I just can't wait to just dive right in.
All right, well, welcome Samantha. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited that you reached out, first of all, because we haven't had a behavioral specialist on the show before, so I think this is something that our moms will really benefit from. So just to get started, if you just want to tell us a little bit about you, your background, family, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here today. And this is a little bit of a different perspective for a lot of parents, something that's not talked about as often. So I'm excited and feel blessed to be here to be able to do that. So a little bit about me. My name is Samantha Day. And first and foremost, I'm a wife and mom of 2. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And then I'm professionally a behavior specialist. My actual title or certification is learning behavior specialist. And then I'm also a sleep expert. So I partner with families, guiding them to a rested and a happy home is typically what I say. And we work with a lot of different ages. So sometimes it's with pregnant moms who are ready to start out on the right foot, and then all the way up through, childhood, and sometimes even into teenage years when we're just focusing on connection and handling behaviors as well.
That sounds so interesting. We'll have to have you come back and talk about that too. So what kind of, first of all, what made you want to go into behavioral health and become a behavioral specialist?
My story is a little bit different. I never would have predicted or thought or chosen to go down this path, to be totally honest. I always wanted to be a teacher, and that was my goal, and I was going to make it happen, and I did. I actually was a special education teacher for quite a long time, but when you work in that area, your degree is actually in behavior. There's so much that goes into the special ed world, and so that's what I did. I worked with children on the autism spectrum, mostly in the behavioral realm, and then when I became a mom, I decided my goal was to stay at home for a couple of years and be with my little one. We were able to make that happen in our family, so I did. And actually, sleep is what brought me into this, because I am one who needs sleep, just like a lot of mamas that are out there. And my son was not a good sleeper at all. And so I used some of my behavioral background to guide him and help him and taught him how to sleep, because it really is a learned behavior to be able to teach our children the skills they need to get the sleep that they need. So I taught him that, and that turned into friends asking me to help them. And so I would help them with different things, and they started reaching their goals. And so it kind of flourished more on the sleep end first. And then once my business really started growing and I had reached 1,000 families or so at that point, I decided, well, people are asking for behavioral health questions as well. And so we started digging into that, because a huge part of our children being happy and being able to understand and learn new things is that they're well rested, but also that they can handle emotions and behaviors. So they really went hand in hand more than I thought that they would. So even though I'm not on the traditional path I originally chose, I definitely am using both of those paths.
I would not have connected the two either. So that's cool, so cool. And I'm so interested to hear even more about how those connect and how you do that. So what exactly does a behavioral specialist do? So when someone reaches out to you, what are the kind of the steps you take, and what are different things that you teach families?
So when I work with families, the first thing we do is dig into their individual family, because every family is different, and we want to recognize that, celebrate that, and figure out what's happening and how can we get to your goals in a way that fits your family individually, because that is so, so, so important. So that's the first thing we do. Is I just learn a little bit about them and their parenting style and what's going on, what their main concerns are and what their main goals are. And then we look at the fact that every behavior serves a purpose. So a lot of times we'll see something happening and we're like, what in the world? This doesn't make any sense. And to us as parents, it really doesn't make sense. We're like, why in the world would they do this or would they do that? And this is ridiculous. In our head, those thoughts kind of go around. But every behavior serves a purpose. And I would say so often behaviors are attention seeking in the younger years. And it's just simple communication. I'm trying to get you to respond in a different way. So I'm escalating my behavior, or I'm changing the way that I'm acting or whining or talking or requesting, whatever it is. So we dig into to what is the purpose behind the behavior that you're currently seeing, and how can we guide that to a place where we're seeing the desirable behavior, fading the ones we don't really want to see anymore and seeing more of the behaviors we do want to see more of.
So today I know we want to talk specifically about promoting positive behaviors in the home. So how can making sleep a priority help with the behaviors within the home?
Sleep is a huge piece of the puzzle. I like to think about it as a puzzle because there's multiple pieces that go into us reaching our goals and our family culture that we want, right, in our homes. And a huge piece, I would venture to say the biggest piece right there in the middle of the puzzle is sleep. Because when we are well rested, our bodies are able to function at the level that we want it to, physically and emotionally as well. And think about us as adults. If we are well rested, we're probably able to deal with things a little bit better and have a little bit more patience. And this is definitely the case for our little ones as well. We want them to be able to be well rested so that they can be learning new things and they can be sorting through these new emotions, know that emotions are normal and it's okay to feel that way. But what do we do when these emotions happen to calm our bodies and to be able to work through it? But being well rested also helps with things like your immune system. So hopefully that we won't be sick as much as, you would be if you're not getting as much sleep. And when we're feeling well physically, we're usually going to have better behavior as well. So it's just kind of the foundation. If we're sleeping and getting the rest that we need for our bodies, we're functioning at a different level physically and emotionally.
That makes so much sense because I know, like, even as adults, like when we get more sleep, we're able to function better the next day. So it should be the same, for kids and all around. So that's awesome. So another thing you talk about is creating one-on-one time with littles, especially if you have multiple. So what does this in particular help with?
So again, we talked about behavior always serves a purpose, and a big part of that is attention. So as humans, after our needs of, food and shelter are met, we need attention and some power opportunities as well, which I talk to families about, but we need appropriate attention. And as kids, if we're not getting that, if we don't feel fulfilled in getting that attention that typically we're looking for our parents to get, we will see attention-seeking behavior from our little ones trying to get that attention. Even if it's negative attention that they're getting, it's a way of fulfilling some type of attention. So if we can proactively find time to fill that attention need for our little ones, we typically start to see less attention-seeking behavior and less power struggles, which leads to better behavior. So I usually say with families, if you have one kiddo, it's obviously a little bit easier than if you have multiple, but it's still just as important to fill up that need for every single one of your kids. And this doesn't have to be, an hour alone with each kid. That's not feasible, and that's not something we can really juggle in most families. But we could say, okay, 10 minutes a day with each kid, maybe even 5 if you can make it work. A little bit more would be even better, but find a realistic amount of time that you feel like you can feed your little ones individually and then have that time with them. And we're talking eye contact, no technology, really nobody else in the room if we can make that happen. And just kind of set up a way where we can really be looking in their eyes and doing an activity that you enjoy and that they enjoy, okay? Because we want to do something that's feeding them, but also we don't want to have to, let's say that my least favorite thing to do is play trains. I know that's horrible, but my son loves trains and I'll sit there and play with him sometimes. But to be honest, I'd rather find a different one-on-one that we can really both connect with because it serves me behaviorally and it serves him as well. So we will find an activity that we both want to do that's not necessarily trains, and we will sit and we'll do that even just for a few minutes. And that fills up their need for attention. And typically we will see that their ability to be creative on their own, their ability to have more one-on-one time after that attention is amazing. So if we can have that happen earlier in the morning, sometimes we start out on a better foot. It doesn't always work that way for our families. Sometimes it has to be later in the day. But if we can make that one-on-one happen first thing in the morning, sometimes we can kind of push that button and start on the right foot through the rest of our day.
Wasn't that amazing? I love talking with Samantha. She's so insightful and has so many tips out there that you can apply to your life today. I just thought it was so cool the different perspectives she has, because behavior is one of those things where a lot of parents struggle with how to address certain behaviors, and so I thought she had some awesome advice there. We had so much information. This is going to be in 2 parts. Next week, she's going to talk a little bit more about motion words and helping children understand their emotions and feel their emotions. And on top of that, also understanding calming strategies that they can address their emotions emotions better instead of acting out. And finally, she gives amazing tips about attention. So she has a strategy called no attention or consistent attention, and I just can't wait to share that with you guys and have you guys hear it from Samantha. So thanks for tuning into this week, and I will see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It should be down here somewhere. We release new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're not following us yet, be sure to follow us at Mommy Knows Best on Instagram. And remember, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you are a great mom. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.